It's time for Push to Play, your weekly trophy podcast with Mindi and CJ.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are today. Thank you for joining us for episode 30 of Push to Plat. It is a wonderfully sunny, lovely afternoon here in Australia. In fact, I don't even know what day it is. It's a Wednesday, isn't it? Things are moving around this week, listeners. How are you on this Tuesday evening? Quite late on Tuesday evening.
Well, it's not as wonderfully sunny here. It's actually quite dark
Yes.
and mostly humid.
So, how's your week been?
Long. Just some personal stuff going on. Hopefully, we've turned a corner. So that's all I'll go into about that.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. It has been a long week, hasn't it? Listeners, we apologise at the start of the show. This will hit you, 3 or 4 days later than normal. We will be back on normal schedule next week. But I think a little bit of a change, why not? Why not? And we thought today, we've had guests on the last few weeks. We thought we'd just have a bit more of a casual sort of conversation episode. Not like it's not normally a casual conversation, but even more so. So, just chill out, have a nice cup of tea or something stronger and put in your favorite game to grind to, I suppose. So, Mindi, why don't we just...
Once again, I have forgotten to pour myself some scotch before we started this.
Well, hopefully you got the tea.
I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I don't do it.
Well, look, I didn't admit to this to you, but I actually have a bit of a foul headache this afternoon because we may have opened a bottle or two last night, so I'm still in slow recovery this afternoon, listeners. So hopefully my words will hold together. I'm glad I just told you that now, Mindi. Didn't forewarn you. So
You didn't drink water after you drank, did you? That's such a rookie mistake, man.
You know what, listeners? I was wondering where the tangent for the opening would come in. It looked dangerously like we were going to get onto games quickly today. And Mindi's opened the door here for me to talk about this amazing purchase we made earlier this week. Now, Mindi, I want to prepare you for this. This is, for Americans, advanced civilization that you are, this is probably nothing amazing. But for us here in, Lowpoke, Australia, this is quite impressive for me. Anyway, we bought a soda machine. Now, I've wanted a soda machine for I don't know how long. You're familiar with these sort of things, Minty. You probably had them like 40 years ago in America, I imagine.
Maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, look, we bought one because the thing is, like, the soda here, I don't know, it's like $1 or whatever. So soda, I mean, obviously it's just carbonated water. Listeners, I don't, we don't want to, yeah, sorry. Mindy's just asked me soda machine with a question mark, listeners. And I was just thinking in America, they may think of it like a soft drink or something. So it's just carbonated water or whatever else. So it's, it's good for you, whatever. But I prefer.
No, well, since you're going to bring that up. No, what I meant, because you said carbonated water. So I thought, you're talking about like soda water.
Yeah, soda
water.
Not
like soda, like a soft drink.
Yeah. So here, listeners, a little Australianism education for you. We just call soda like carbonated water. Yeah, and soft drinks would be what you guys, call soda, I suppose. So yes, and that's why that was a good point to make a clarification. Yes, I'm just not drinking liters and liters of this stuff.
Well, no, because now I'm just thinking that you bought like a Coke machine, like a vending machine that like at the movie theater, and you put the cup under, and it just sprays out soda.
If they made one of those for wine, I would totally buy it. But anyway, now we're getting really distracted here. But anyway, we bought one. So long story short, anyway. So it's fascinating. It makes a great sound. It does it in 30 seconds. And of course, because I was just buying soda water so much of it, it was insane. So this will definitely pay for itself or whatever. It's much easier. But we had a bit of an issue last night or whatever. This is it's a long way around getting to why I'm maybe slightly hungover this afternoon. This is a bit of an issue last night where we decided it would be good to try making our flavored sodas or whatever in this thing, or whatever else. So we may have jammed the thing in too far and sort of broke the nozzle off, which is, you know, impressive after 3 days, I think. So anyway, we had to, you know, resort to other beverages because the soda machine was out of action. But we took it. The funny thing is, we took it in today to the store or whatever else, and I always love looking at people that clearly have no idea what they're doing, and so the store people are there and they're like, oh, here we go, this should be interesting or whatever, and the guy's like, yeah, we're not going to exchange it till we've tested it. I'm like, well, it doesn't work, obviously. Anyway, he gets it out, puts it up, sets it up, works perfectly. So, you know, I'm not sure what the moral to that story is, other than, you know, I need to learn how to use the soda machine properly. But look, you know, I was hoping we'd find something to talk about, you know, and we have. If your listeners feel like a soda now, please stop and grab one. I already have. So look, anyway, let's move along from that. So we've got a question we've been sitting on for a couple of weeks, Mindi, but we're finally organised. We're finally going to take it, and it's from Mr. Dom Sir, who we picked up a few episodes ago. So I hope you're still with us, Mr. Dom. I hope your gaming is going well. Now he's asked us here, Mindi, have you ever thought about making a new account just for trophy hunting, so you don't need to worry about backlog and just plat games one at a time? What do you think? Have you considered this?
I mean, I kind of already have that. Like I've spoken before how if there's something I want to play and I know I'm not going to go for the platinum, I just get on one of my alts, my alternate accounts, and just play it on that. I think, what did I say a couple weeks ago? Currently there is nothing on my trophy hunting profile that cannot be completed. So, except for one Minecraft trophy, but it's not unfeasible for me to get 100% completion profile. Do I think I'll get it? No. But if I were to want 100% profile, and thank God I don't, it's way too late for me to start over. And I'm pretty happy being in the mid to high 90% completion on my profile. So not you know, I have no desire to start a new account, and like I said, I kind of already have that account for not worrying about trophy hunting. It's kind of the exact opposite of what he's asked, actually, now that I think about it.
Well, it's sort of like you're using an alt account, like as you say, in its place, aren't you? So can I ask a question? Do you just use one alt account, or do you have like different ones like that you use?
Well, I have like one alt that I use. I have a couple of alts for different stores.
Yes.
Different regional stores. I feel like I'm confessing to a crime here. But
careful.
Generally, I just play on one of the alts just because it's habit, I guess. It's one of my testing accounts.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you know, sometimes I'll play on one of the regionals just because that's just what's closest on my list of when you log on to the home screen and you've got your choices of what profiles to load. It's just the closest one that isn't my trophy account.
The reason I ask is, do any of your alts or your most common alt or whichever, do any of them or have any of them earned a platinum?
One of my testing alts has earned 14 platinums. Oh, I'm so proud.
Oh, that's impressive.
Oh, I'm so proud.
Well, I'm going to further this question because this is what I'm driving at here. I want to see if I'm the only person in the world that has done this, you know, by accident, of course, listeners. Have you ever been playing on your alt account when you think you're actually playing on your main account and then perhaps proceeded to platinum a game on that account?
No, I have done where I've played for half an hour or something and then earned a trophy and then been like, oh, wait, I'm on the wrong account. But nothing that's not easily cleaned up. You know, no like big, awful online grindy luck-based thing where I'm like, yes, oh no, I'm on my alt, you know.
Well, I was sort of thinking about, you know, because obviously, listeners, you're probably not going to make that mistake for a 100-hour game. But I'm looking at my Canadian account, and it is doing particularly well. I think it would rank, you know, fairly highly up. It has a surprising number of VN platinums on it, where I think, you know, 45-minute games or whatever. I think I was playing on the, you know, maybe even some of the rat specials on the wrong account. So look, you know, but look, that is as close as I would get to a second account, Mr. Dom. So I don't see the point of it personally. I mean, with a completion completion rate like mine, it's a challenge to maintain it on my current account. Why would I want to deviate trophies onto another account? I don't know. It would potentially increase my completion rate, I suppose, which would be tedious, I suppose, is a good way to put it. But yeah.
I mean, anything that's going to increase your completion rate is good for me. So if that's what you got to do, man, then that's what you got to do.
Yeah, well, look, I just put anything and everything on the one account and play it. As I said, unless I forget, it doesn't at all bother me. In fact, it's pretty much the only way I know what I have now. I think if I had stuff over different accounts, I don't know, it would be very, very confusing. And besides, a trophy is a trophy. If I put in 5 minutes, I want to get that bronze on my main account. It might be the only one that I get. So I suppose we're the same, Mindi. We're not really partaking in that 100% perfect account or whatever. Can I ask you a question? We're sort of deviating here slightly. Like you mentioned, luckily you don't feel the compulsion for 100% account. Do you ever feel that people are avoiding games? And I'm not necessarily talking about online things that are not attainable anymore, but they're actually actively afraid of playing games because they are trying to maintain or reach this 100%? Or do you think it's more like they're using it to challenge themselves? Like, I'll start this hard game and I have to finish it because I want this 100% account.
I don't think afraid is the right word. I do think there are some who will avoid it and say, if I don't think I'm going to 100% this, I don't want it on my profile. The question is, are they like me and say, but I still want to play this, so I'll just play it on my non-trophy account? Or do they just not play it altogether? Because I think that's sad if they want to play something, but they know they're not going to get the platinum, so they just don't play it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a better way of putting it. Yeah, I didn't think. See, the other thing I find interesting, I was reading this comment on a forum the other day, and someone said, like, how difficult is this game or whatever? Because if I play it, I want to be able to complete it or platinum it or whatever. So how difficult it was a rhythm game actually. How difficult is it? And if it's too hard, I'll just pick it up on the Switch. And I thought, well, that's an interesting strategy, isn't it? Like maybe you by picking it up on the other system, it just alleviates the trophy pressure. I suppose I had never really considered that, but I mean that wouldn't, I suppose, apply to you, Mindi. I don't know that it applies to me either. But look, that's something to.
Because you just don't care, and I just have an alt that I don't care about. So win-win.
Yeah. See, I think my problem is the flip side. Like, I think, if I'm interested in the trophies, I will buy the game on the PlayStation. And so I suppose the things that I buy on the Switch or the Xbox are predominantly games I can't get on the PlayStation. So there's not too many for the Xbox. But yeah.
Like Deadly Premonition 2. Still mad about that. Still mad about it.
It's still not come, has it? Yeah, there's been no announcement yet for PlayStation.
No, it's going to be an exclusive for a while, and I'm still mad.
Oh well, I'm sure. Look, it will come across at some point. So, like, there you go, Dom. I think we've answered your question in a roundabout way and said a whole lot of nothing. But hopefully you can take something from that. I'm not sure, and if not, soda machines. I recommend them. So moving on, Mindi, shall we have a look at what we've been playing for this week? Would you like to start us off?
Sure. Let's see. Where did I stop last week? Did I talk about Apocalypse last week?
I believe you were in the process of writing the guide, or I don't think you finished it. So no. I
think I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Now that I think about it, I think I did. If not, it's $5. It's a pretty decent play. Yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. Moving along, listeners. That's the experience you can hope to gain from Apocalypse. Right. The Tree of the Knowledge of Good and Evil. It's one of those games where it may take you longer to say the name than actually platinum the game.
That's true. It is a buggy game though. It can often load into a scene and it's just a blue screen with your character on it, or sometimes parts of the scene just won't load in. The good thing is that all you have to do is close out of the game and relaunch it and you're fine. Like, you're not permanently screwed if that happens, but it can still be a little annoying.
Yeah. I think that's a double stack, that game too, isn't it? So you could potentially even do it twice if you want.
It is. There's a North America and a European stack.
I'm just looking at the little cover art picture for it. Even the guy does not look that impressed. So anyway, moving along. Distraint. What did you think?
Yeah, I played it. It had me for a while and then it lost me. When I thought there was something more going on, There were some really genuinely creepy parts to this game, which is a surprise considering the kind of the cutesy pixely art style. But that part kind of reminded me of like Corpse Party, where yeah, you can have a pixel game and it's actually creepy. But at the end, I was like, okay, it's building up to something. No, it's really not building up to something. It's just about this repro guy or repo, not repro, repo guy who's just taking homes away from people who may or may not still have a right to live where they are living. It kind of, what's that horror movie with the girl and Drag Me to Hell. Drag Me to Hell. And the whole thing is that it's this girl at a bank and she's telling this woman like, I can't give you a loan for your house, or you've missed like 8 payments on your house, so you have to take it away. And then this old woman curses her, and I'm like, I'm kind of on the girl's side here. Like, they tried to give you so many chances. At some point, this is your fault. And so it's this weird kind of moral, like I get what they're trying to say, where it's like there's more important things than money, and yes, of course there is. But like at the same time, if you're missing 20 payments on your apartment, yeah, they're gonna come take it. It's a weird thing here, and like I said, I get that the message is don't be just a greedy asshole, but at the same time, at least with the first one, it was she was missing payments, so they came and they took her property.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel exactly the same way. When it started, for the first 30 minutes or so, I was really, really getting into it. And then I think, yeah, it was surface treatment as it went on. I mean, some of the scene, yeah, I don't know. I mentioned when I talked about it that it was it's full of regrets, regretting this, regretting that, and ultimately leading into the ending or whatever. But it just doesn't follow through for me, which is a shame because I think it's close, isn't it? I mean, admittedly, this is a rat game, ported game, isn't it? By one person, I think, made it. I don't remember her name. I apologize, listeners. So, I mean, for what it is, it's quite a great job. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. I feel the same as you. I think.
I still think there are moments in it that make it worth playing.
Yeah.
I just think, check out the story about midway through.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, it's one of those games, I don't know if you found, it looks like you've only done it once so far, but it's a game that's easily rememberable, and highly forgettable, I suppose, in that you maybe play with a guide once, but I found it very easy to remember what to do. It's very linear, I suppose, isn't it? I mean, there's a few missable trophies, I suppose, here and there, but it really holds your hand. Like you can only really do one thing at a time or whatever, in the natural flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I don't know, Mindi, maybe because you're from the point and click genre and the all of this, so you're more tolerant of this. But one thing that annoys me, and this game did do it, is where you have to. I'm thinking of the scene early on, or about I suppose early on in the cabin where you have to do one thing, like, I don't know, find the dog's bed, and then each time, or get the paper for the fire, each time you have to go back to the guy to move it on. You can't sort of pick up the multiple things. I don't know. Maybe your tolerance for that is higher than mine, but maybe after doing it 4 times, my tolerance was not high enough. I don't know.
I mean, I didn't mind it because it was like one screen, and the screens are kind of small. I didn't mind it, so I think I might have a higher tolerance for this than you do, though.
I think that is highly possible, listeners. Now, the next one really interests me. What did you think?
Oh, I played the first tree.
Yes.
I don't know about this one. It was almost like a chunk of Edith Finch. Like if they had made some changes to this, you could have slid it into one of the Edith Finch kind of gameplay sections. Except for the collectible stars. Like
it's a nightmare, yeah.
The collectible stars kind of killed it. But it's a story about a fox who's looking for her missing children, and she's journeying to the first tree, which is like this, I don't know, powerful tree, to find them. But really it's about a guy talking to his wife about this dream he had about a fox looking for her children. And the guy, his father has just died, and he's like getting ready to go out to Alaska, which is where his dad lived and died. And so when you're playing as the fox, like you know, you're in this forest, but you can also see like a school bus and like signs and like these little things that bleed in from this guy's life. And you can dig up items from this guy's life and it'll tell you more of the guy will narrate more of his story of him and his father. But there are also stars to collect, and if the stars weren't there and you tweaked some of this, it felt like one of the Edith Finch chapter segments where you're playing as one of the dead people.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. It is a shame about those stars. I see you 100% of the game, but that's you really have to follow a guide, I suppose. Some of those stars, it's just a mess, isn't it? Nothing's marked on the map and stuff. So, yeah. And then
there is no map.
There is no map. No.
That's the other thing.
Yeah. And they're highly missable, aren't they? Because as you move into a new section, you can't go backwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to get them all in the same game.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Like they don't carry over between games.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, I don't know, listeners, if you're 100% concerns you, perhaps this is a game you should play on an alt account, because I think the story is nice, though. Like, trophies aside or whatever, I quite enjoyed this game. It's quite beautiful, too, for what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those games you have to sort of meet halfway and you have to be in the right mood, perhaps. I don't know.
I think that's exactly right. I think you have to be in a certain mood to play. Because I've had this installed on my system for like a week. And it's just been sitting there.
Mm.
And I'll go to start it and I'm like, no, I don't feel like it.
It's a good, I mean, like I said, you know, it's probably not a good length if you're going through and trying to get all the stars, but if you discount that from the beginning and you just play it, it's actually, it's quite a decent length to just play in one sitting. I think it's that type of game. I mean, it probably takes you a couple of extra hours to get all those stars, I think. But I think, I was just looking at the times here. It can be done in a couple of hours, I think, if you're just going for the story elements. So, I
think if you're just going for a story, it's like 2 to 3 hours. If you're going for all the stars and you're following a guide, probably 4 or 5.
Yeah. So, make your decision there, listeners. But like I would, I don't know, would you recommend it, Mindi, aside from perhaps the trophies?
Wait for a sale. But generally, yeah.
Sounds good. Something else?
Yeah, the thing I played, what I'm almost done, but still working on is The Longest 5 Minutes. This is a Vita game.
Sorry, that's the name of the game, isn't it?
It is the name of the game.
This is the longest 5 minutes ever.
Well, it really is. So it's a Vita game. It's an RPG. Nippon Ichi. You'd think it was Kemco because it's a lot shorter and easier, but it's not. It's a Nippon Ichi game. They did what did they do? Oh, they did Liar Princess and the Blind Prince.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And they make all the Disgaea games. I'm actually surprised to realize this is a Nippon Ichi game because it feels like a Kemco game. It really does.
When you say it feels like it plays like a Kemco game, or it just
it feels like it plays like it. It's there's not a whole lot in the battle systems. It's very simplistic. So this is actually it's more like a hybrid of a JRPG and a visual novel.
Oh, okay.
And the reason it's the longest 5 minutes is because you start the game at the boss battle with the final boss of the game, right?
Okay.
And the the hero realizes he doesn't remember anything. He's like, I don't know why I'm fighting this. Like, this dude is clearly evil, but I don't remember why I'm fighting him. I don't remember why this matters. Things like that. And so there's literally a counter in the top right corner going from 0 to 5 minutes. And you know that once it hit, and it's not real time, obviously it's going to take many, many hours. But when that counter hits 5 minutes, you have to fight this thing.
Oh.
So that's an interesting little conceit for the game. So it goes back and forth between visual novel segments of the hero talking to his party members to try to figure some stuff out. And then the RPG segments are flashbacks to how you get to this point. And that's the actual kind of walking around and dungeon crawling and fighting enemies and stuff. And it's all kind of out of order.
Just to go back on that timing thing, does that mean you're on a clock the whole game basically, or does it move forward as you move the story forward?
No, it moves as the story moves forward. There's no
Oh, okay. I see.
no, there's
So
no
not
timing
under
to worry about.
constraints.
Interesting thing that I like and I also don't like about this is because these things are out of order, in these, these scenes you go through, you don't keep anything you earn here. So like if you're grinding for money or like the XP you get to keep. It just adds to whatever your base XP was at the beginning of the game when you're fighting the main boss. When you're playing through these RPG segments, if you're grinding for money or weapons or items, those all go away once you finish that section of the RPG and go back to the visual novel. So you have to kind of get out of your mind, this does not work like every other JRPG that I've played. It's not really advantageous to hang on to these things because I'm going to lose them anyway at the end of the section, right? It starts you with just a base. Each RPG segment, you start with a base equipment. It's not the same equipment every time, so it does get, you do start with better and better equipment the further in you go. It starts you with a base amount of money, so eventually you can just go and buy better equipment at the very beginning of each RPG segment or buy items or whatever. And it'll start you with some stuff in your inventory, some healing items and stuff. This also carries over to the final boss fight. To it, there's not a whole lot of healing items in your inventory for that final boss fight, which is a pain, like a real pain.
What's the story like? Is it worth it?
Well, we talked a couple of weeks ago, right, about JRPGs and melodrama, right?
Yes.
So while I like the idea of this game, the kind of amnesia with a twist, and the twist is the gameplay you're remembering in chunks as opposed to just kind of playing through anyway, and then it's all in flashbacks. The problem here is that all of the major, like, big melodrama reveal moments are all at the end of the game, which kills the pacing of this game dead. Really bad. There are reveals about certain characters, and these characters aren't even introduced until, like, 4.5 minutes into the timer, and it just becomes this pacing mess around the end.
It sounds very ambitious. An ambitious idea to bring it all together.
I like the idea of this a lot. Just the execution was not great. And even with these, random or the whole, you can't hang on to your equipment stuff. I understand why they've done it, but I feel like it could have been implemented better. Like certain things you could keep if you went out of your way to do these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's refreshing too that we get a JRPG that deals with amnesia. I mean, that's it's a rarity, isn't it, these days?
That's why I said amnesia with a twist. Like it really isn't just guy wakes up, can't remember who he is, goes through an entire game leading up to the final battle. It's dude knows everything until he gets to the final boss, then he loses his memory.
I like it.
And then they're doing it in reverse, so I can respect that.
Yeah, and how do the trophies sort of work? Are they missable? Are they story? How's that?
No, so here's the cool thing too, is that there's because this is a visual novel, because this is part visual novel. There is chapter select, there is scene select, so you don't have to worry about missing anything.
Oh, okay.
It's fantastic.
So you can go back in effect at any point. Okay.
Yeah,
that is cool.
And it breaks it down into the specific time increments in the visual novel section, or you can go to what's called the memory album to get into the JRPG sections. And so that's pretty cool too. And it's for people who are kind of scared off by visual novels. There's only, I think, 2 points at which what you choose in the visual novel affects the ending of the game. So there's not a whole lot of branching here. And these points are at like the middle of the game, which, the wrong choice just leads you to a dead end 10 minutes later and then throws you right back to the choice. And you need to do it anyway for a trophy. And then the other one is near the end of the game, like 4 minutes and 45 seconds in.
That's my sort of trophy list. shepherds you in the right direction.
You might like this one. I don't think you'd complete it, but it's a cute little.
No, let's be serious.
It's a cute little thing, and the combats is pretty easy.
Okay.
The majority of things can be one hit killed just with melee attacks.
Yeah.
So, and that's the kind of JRPG you like, right? Where there's a battle system that you don't use.
Yeah, look, yes, if I can remove myself from the equation, Kuni, I will do that, listeners. So yeah, look, that is it's only for Vita though, I see, isn't it? It's not a PS4 as well.
No, it's only on Vita.
Yeah, okay. There's a Japanese stack as well. There you go. So you play it in either language. 55 trophies. My goodness, there's a lot going on, isn't there? Okay, interesting. How long would this game take someone? Do you think, Mindy?
Oh, 20. It's on the shorter side, which is another reason I thought. I was thinking it's a Kemco JRPG. I'd say 15 to 20 hours.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, it's still some meat on the bones there. Then it's not crazy.
Yeah, but it's definitely on the shorter side for JRPG.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. The longest 5 minutes. I'm sure there's someone out there who's chuckling away at the moment. You can come back if you don't like JRPGs. welcome back. But yeah, interesting. Anything else you'd like to throw out today or comment on?
No, I have one other thing, but we're recording another episode like tomorrow, so I will hold off for that episode.
Okay, perfect. Well, look, I'm gonna do a similar thing, listeners. So I'll just throw out some, a little bit of love. Ironically, a lot of what I've played this week, I think, would fit into the spam category. Not intentionally. It just happened that way. So a few of the games I'll hold on to, and I think maybe I'll just go with the slightly longer ones. And I fell back into, I should say, listeners. It's been 3 years according to the trophy card. Back into Prominence Poker, which is a free poker game. I know there's a few variants now on the PS4, and the reason I fell into this game was I noticed that there was a free-to-play poker game that came up on the store. I forget what it's called. Just the other day, the other week, which sort of led me back to this. It didn't have any trophies though, which was a shame, and it led me back to Pure Hold'em, I think, which was the other game that released around this time. And listeners, let me warn you: do not buy it. It is dreadful. I played maybe 3 hands, and it took forever. I'm pretty sure I was playing against AI as well, not humans, and it was dreadful. So I would not recommend that one. But this is really good. I think obviously it's riddled with some microtransactions. If you run out of chips, you have the option to buy them. Although you get some every day anyway if you're just happy to wait. And playing poker for fake money is always an interesting experience. But like everything, the more chips you acquire, you can move up in the limits. And there's some decent play. I would not call it necessarily hard if you know what you're doing, but there's some interesting play, and it's not all crazy, all in, all out shenanigans. So look, I would really recommend this game if you just want to play a few hands. You are playing against real players. It surprised me there was still a lot of people playing, so it was never difficult to find a game. It put you in within a 10 seconds or so. I'm not sure about the tournaments. Perhaps that would take longer. I know the trophy list is basically, I don't want to say unattainable, but very, very difficult. There's a trophy there. In fact, I don't think anyone's got it for acquiring 1 billion bankrolls. So that would be an insane amount. In fact, I saw Mindi. It was amusing. Someone had done the maths, and if you were to buy the number of chips you would need for that, it was going to cost you like 250,000 euro or something. So that gives you an idea of how long it would take you to ever get that. But look, if you've got a spare 250k sitting around and you want to be the first achiever, that could be the game for you. But if you're like the rest of us, then
I think I can think of so much better things you could do with that. Like giving some of it to me.
Look, I totally agree. The funny thing is, when you hover over the trophy percentage, so it says 00 on the side, but it does say 0.01. So perhaps that is just a dev that was at time of launch, I don't know, checked it. Or maybe there is somebody in the world there that has either grinded out an unfathomable number of hours, listeners, because it would be insane to earn that amount. Or maybe they just, went, look, why not? I'm going to be the first person.
I mean, people do anything to be at that top slot. You hear about people who use save states and stuff to get through like a 20-minute platinum just to get a 15-minute platinum top time.
That's right.
So
yeah, but look, aside from that, again, perhaps this, I didn't knowingly start out on this, but perhaps this is one to play on an alt account if the trophies concern you, because it is a lot of fun. And in fact, I think I perhaps put in maybe 6 hours across a couple of days unknowingly in that. So, but anyway, I've moved on from that now. But it is very, very enjoyable. And the Ni no Kuni. Now, have you? I don't know, because this is a remaster, Mindi. Have you ever played this game on PS3?
No, I bought it back on the PS3, and like so many things, it went into my backlog. I do remember playing the demo for this yonks and yonks ago before it came out.
Yeah.
But I never actually cracked open the game and played it. Is it the exact same trophy list?
It is the exact same trophy list. And to be honest, listeners, I've known about this game for a long time, but partly I didn't want to play it on PS3, for whatever reason. And the other part was that I always heard that the trophy list was a bit of a nightmare. It was sort of difficult or not difficult, perhaps just grindy is a better term. So I didn't play this, on the PS3, as I said, but I did play Ni no Kuni 2, which I thought was fantastic. But at the time, I know a lot of people, purists that had come from it, they didn't perhaps like two as much, which having now put, say, maybe 10 hours into this remaster, I can definitely see why. But I was talking to a friend of the show the other day, and who's also playing it, and I said, it's really nice to have played, it's weird to have played the second installment, even though they are separate stories. The systems are still similar, and you can sort of see where they've come from. It's weird to play the second one first, and then to come back and play the original later, and see sort of how they develop systems and stuff. So I can see why certain people perhaps prefer the first one. But that being said, it's a beautiful remaster. I mean, it's still obvious that it's a PS3 game, compared to the second one and what's currently being presented. But the art style, Studio Ghibli art style, is just fantastic anyway. I think I don't think it would matter. It ages, so well. I think I'm not sure how familiar you are with the art style, Mindi, but it is. It's
it's Studio Ghibli.
Yeah. It's just beautiful. It's like paint strokes, I suppose, in a way. So the resolution doesn't usually matter. Having said that, you do get the option to play it in 4K, high res, or in your 1080, and it does the cutscenes. I thought it was me for a while, but there is a bit of skipping in the cutscenes, and this is playing on the Pro, so not in the game itself, but there is a huge amount of cutscenes, particularly in the first couple of hours. So that could be a slight issue. I don't know. Consider, listeners. But that aside, it's a beautiful game. It really is. And it's a game, I've been looking for something that I can just, I don't know, just get sucked into. I think, I've been spending more and more time with Final Fantasy XIV, but I sort of want to pace that out for the rest of the year. So this was a good find, I think. And it's just, yeah, I mean, this is another game, where the combat, you can go in and effect just push one button every sort of 10 seconds and it basically takes care of it for you, especially now that I have the familiars, which are lovely little things. But I think there's probably more depth to it than that. I'm just choosing not to engage with it. But look, we'll see as we go.
What always kind of bummed me out was that when Ni no Kuni came out, there was a companion game on the DS, and it was we'll see, it's God, I can't remember the name of this game. It's the White Witch and the Black Devil Demon, something like that, and the Black Demon or whatever was on the DS, and I remember it came with a massive book, and the book had all these spells in it, and you would flip through the book to find like the stylus pattern, I guess, to cast the spells in the game, which sounded really, really awesome, and it never made its way west. And I do remember there was a fan translation, and I'm kind of wondering if it's been like 10 years, so maybe not, but
sounds like the original Wonder Book,
right? Except people actually played it.
Oh, the Wonder Book is fantastic, listeners. Do yourself a favor, pick up you had to do it with the Move controller. They weren't all equal, but I want to say Harry Potter, but it was probably wasn't Harry. It was what was it, just potions and things, wasn't it? I forget. Book of Potions. Yeah, very good. Anyway, we detract from that. So yeah, look, it's great. One of the other things, I don't know if you know, Mindi, what I really really enjoyed in number 2, and you know, obviously it's in this one as well, is that the soundtrack is recorded by the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra, so a full orchestra, and the soundtrack is just fantastic for these games. It's one of those games where you can actually just turn on and just leave on for the afternoon and while you're doing other stuff and just listen to the music, just cycling through. It's really great. And yeah, it's a beautiful game. Look, I don't know. I think it's long. I think probably 100 hours. And I think it's one of these games where the majority of the trophies do come towards the end. And I think it involves a lot of collecting and grinding. So, you know, like typical JRPG.
Oh, this was Joe Hisaishi.
Yes, who wrote the music.
Who did the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And he did, wait a minute. I know this name. What did he he does a bunch of Ghibli soundtracks.
Yeah. It's very rare to get a full orchestrated score these days in any games, even in any AAA games as well. And also, you know, it's nice not to have. I'm all for electronic music, you know, and an influence. I mean, it's massively throughout the new expansion in Final Fantasy 14, and I think it's fantastic. But it is nice to hear like almost, you know, like just a classical soundtrack as well. And I mean, you know, like I was thinking about it, the game is very gentle. Like you know, it almost feels like a little bit of a kiddies game, but you know, it's obviously not. But it's just a beautiful, gentle experience. And I don't know, the music complements it perfectly. So look, if you're looking for a longer game, I would definitely recommend it. As I said, there was a little bit of hitching running at the 4K, but I don't think it's, you know, it's nothing that's going to be a major concern. And I'm sure if you put it down to performance over graphics and resolution, that would be taken care of. So yeah, something to look out for. And then I don't know. I might throw this because it's sort of half spam, half not spam, and I know that it's going to get passed over. Is the NextGen Sandbox? Did you see this, Mindi?
Yeah, I've seen the list. It's like the most generic sounding thing, like literally just the most generic thing I've ever heard. Is this kind of the same idea as what's it called, that those like Middle Eastern games that came out with the super easy trophy lists, and it's all done in like Unity and like those driving games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. Yes. It's not. I mean, it is like that to a degree. It's a world builder game. So it's more. I mean, the trophies work more akin to an admin panel, if you like. So the trophies are all related to adding certain objects to a world or performing, you know, an action with those objects. So the list. I mean, I have not finished it yet, but the list by and large is very easy. There's a couple there that are confusing, but people have already figured them out. And I think, look, you know, I mean, for a trophy game, it's you know, it's great or whatever, you know, a couple of hours, I suppose. The ideas are cute. I don't know that you'd necessarily really want to build a world in it, but you can. I mean, you can do some fun stuff. They have, you know, you can put animals on merry-go-rounds. You know, you can shoot an animal into the sky if you want. So there is some fun to be had there. I think it comes in at around $20, so it's fine for a trophy experience. But you know, other than that, it's sort of cool, I suppose, for a couple of hours. But you know, other than that, I'm not sure. It's sort of, you know what it strikes me as. I don't think you've played this yet, Mindi, but if played is the correct word, I suppose, listeners. It's sort of like the cheaper, you know, the low budget version of Dreams. I don't know, do you call that a game or an experience? I suppose a creative tool. I suppose Dreams from Media Molecule there. So I don't know if you don't want to pay the price they're asking, you can pay $20 and get the light version in this game. But look, you know, that's enough. That's plenty. Yeah. I almost feel like I want to go off on a rant for Final Fantasy 14, but I'm gonna hold it because I think I need to give the listeners pre-warning before I do that, so they can skip that week if they have no interest in that game, including yourself, Mindi.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me know, and I'll make sure to not show up for the recording session.
Yes. So we'll do that. So look, why don't we just shuffle over to new releases, you know, very very briefly, and what have we got, Mindi? Is there a big something coming out this week? Is there anything we should know about?
I mean, nothing this week that interests me, but I mean, FIFA's coming out.
Yeah, excellent. And I think this Code Vein as well. I see people mentioning that. So they look like the two big ones in a week full of.
Oh, Jedi Knight 2 for the Star Wars people, and of course the big seller, because the first one did so well, is the Surge 2. That's coming out.
Did you? I know it came out on PS Plus not that long ago, a couple of months ago. The Surge. Have you ever played any of it or seen it, Mindi?
No. No, I just know it by its reputation.
Yeah, it's sort of like a Dark Souls-y mech game. It's surprising that a game like this would get a sequel, but why not? I suppose it has a core fan base.
Oh, there's one that actually does interest me, and it's supposed to be out now. Is LA Noire, the VR case files finally got ported over to PS4 after being on, I want to say, Oculus Rift for a couple of years.
See, I didn't know that it was already on that. Okay, it's not. I don't think it's the whole game though, is it? It's just the cases or something.
No. It's a completely new thing.
Oh, it's a new thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah. Okay. So I see it's got a separate.
I think, or maybe it's like a cut and paste of older stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is interesting. So, like, why don't we? Seeing you brought that up, why don't we? It would be remiss of us not to talk about the state of play. Seeing we are recording later today, later than normal, I should say. So we both had a chance to see it, or to see most of it. That was one of the things announced. Yeah. Do you like those announcements, Mindi, where they show it and then they go and it's available now? Do you like that?
It's fine. I have no feeling of it. The last big surprise one was Final Fantasy IX, right? And they announced it, and they're like, "Hey, guess what?" And everyone freaked out because it was already out.
Yeah. So without dissecting the state of play hugely, listeners, because I'm sure you will hear plenty of that on all the other podcasts. What did you think of it, Mindi? I mean, have you watched any of the other two that came out, or is this the first one you've sort of seen?
This is the first one I actually sat down and decidedly watched.
Yeah.
I kind of skimmed over the other ones.
So what'd you think?
Never, ever, ever, ever read the chats going on the YouTube stream because it's not fun.
No.
Everyone was asking about knack.
Oh.
So there seems to be this concentrated effort to trick Sony into thinking that knack is still a viable IP.
You can imagine that Microsoft would have put most of its employees on the chat duty this morning just to hurl some hate at them.
I guess.
So, but probably Nintendo was in the corner
if that's the case, they're saying some real awful things. They're getting paid to say some really awful things about Sony.
Yeah. Well, maybe their behavior code doesn't consist to YouTube. No, look, I'm sure it was not them. I'm sure the haters were just widely spread from many walks of life. Who knows? Yeah. So look, I think you came in a good one. I think this is the best of the ones that I've seen so far. Anything stick out for you? Anything you want to?
I mean, Last of Us 2 is coming out.
Yes.
Maybe I'll even platinum Last of Us 1 before that comes out. Should that be a challenge? Oh no. Am I challenging myself to do this? Oh no.
You're not that far off it, are you? Like, you've done all the multiplayer and everything, so.
No, I got to do a playthrough of Survival Plus, and that should unlock all of the other difficulty trophies that I haven't done.
Oh well, if that's all it is, that sounds like you could do that. Is that particularly? It sounds difficult. Is that particularly challenging, or is that doable?
I mean, it has to be doable. It's more.
Yeah, well,
it's more. Even all these years later, there's a few points that I'm thinking, oh God, that's gonna suck on Survival Plus, because you have to be more stealthy in this game, and very, very limited ammo and stuff. And I feel better if I can kill everything, but I can't. So that's a bummer. So I'm thinking it has to be 2 playthroughs because I did have a trophy glitch on me.
Yes.
And it was, what was it? It was one of the I think it was the optional conversations trophy. I sure as hell am not going to do that in a Survival Plus playthrough. So I think do Survival Plus, and then I still have to do Survival Plus on the DLC as well. And then I think go back and do the optional conversations stuff on like easy. Just so I don't have to worry about it.
Well, there you go. Listeners, you can, if you've done this Survival Plus and you have any tips, feel free to reach out to Mindi and let her know. I'm sure she'll like it. Yeah. you know what I found interesting about this Last of Us 2 bit that they showed? They showed it right at the end for the last 3 minutes or something, and I was sort of thinking, well, maybe they're not going to show it at all. Which would be a twist and a half, I suppose. But did you see the footage they showed, Mindi?
Yeah, I did.
So at the start, when it came on, I thought, oh, they're showing Red Dead. Is there an expansion or something? Because it was all on horses, and they were in the mountains, I think, weren't they? So yeah, it was interesting.
But they had horses in the first game.
Look, I'm sure they did. I know they had a giraffe. I saw the giraffe. I don't remember about the.
But they rode horses to the area with the giraffe. Like, they had horses.
Oh.
And this is supposed to be like 4 or 5 years after the first game?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, no, it looks fantastic. So you know that is what it is. Death Stranding. Are you convinced? Are you ready to jump on the wagon?
Yeah, I don't know. Need more information, like a lot more.
For a game that continually, you know, for a game that continually spews out information and video, it's still not really clear what is going on, is it? So I don't know. But the great news is you can get a limited edition PS4, Death Stranding PS4, if that does interest you now. So look, that's good. I thought the Civilization 6 coming to PS4 is about time. There was a Civilization game that came to Vita not that long ago, but I'm still not convinced it's a console game. But look, why not? Why not? Anything else? I see there's some Katamari.
I mean, Tropico's on console. Why not Civilization?
Oh yeah, look, I think it's well about time. I mean, my reservations are I think it's more of a keyboard game, but I mean you could always play with a keyboard, I'm sure, on console. So that is fine. I love Civilization. It's great. I have a feeling that I have Civilization 6 on the Switch. I don't think I've ever played it, but I'm pretty sure it's there. I should check that out, listeners. I'm just going to make a note on that.
Have you ever played your Switch?
Well, I look sometimes, not often, unfortunately, but it's there. I did pick up this Link's. I was tossing up whether to do the Ni no Kuni remaster or the Link's Awakening because I thought I needed one or the other, and I picked them both up, and it was just the hand went to the left, and so it was Ni no Kuni. But I will play this Link's Awakening. I imagine you have perhaps played this on a system, and you know, because again, it's a.
Is this a remaster of the Link's Awakening, like a Game Boy game?
Yes. Yeah.
Then yes, I have played it.
Yeah, I hear it's
not the Switch version.
I hear it's exceptional game. It's supposed to be very good. The story or the original was very good, or whatever else. So I assume this will be as well.
Yeah, most of the Zelda handheld games are pretty great.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah. So look, you know, maybe, but you know, in this next couple of days before we record again, I will start it, and you know, then I'll know more about it. But you know, look, that is. That is the Switch, isn't it? My goodness. Although there is another game, listeners. See, now Mindy's distracted me. The Goose Game. Have you heard about this, Mindy? The Goose Game. Or is it the Unnamed Goose
Game?
It's something about a goose. I think it might be the Unnamed Goose or something. Yeah. I'm going to look like...
Is that from the State of Play?
No, sorry. We're just spooking Nintendo here. I think it's also on PC or whatever. But I've been told it's like playing
Untitled Goose Game.
Yes, Untitled Goose Game. Yes. No, I look like a goose. Apparently, it's like you're a goose, but it's like GTA style or something. So I don't know.
What?
Like, yeah, it's crazy. Apparently, so I'm just imagining sort of a bit of you know, what was that simulator where you're a donkey simulator? It wasn't donkey, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's something like that across with goose as well.
Sorry, I just Googled this and I pulled up an article on The Verge.
Yes.
How Untitled Goose Game adapted Debussy for its dynamic soundtrack. So we got some classical music here. It's called a slapstick stealth sandbox game.
Yes.
In which you play a terrible goose wreaking havoc in a lovely English village. Oh my god, I kind of want to play this.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Yeah, I know it's on Switch. I'm sure it will probably come at some point to PlayStation as well, but it's only just come out. I know it looks divine. I think that would be great.
This kind of reminds me of what's that one? Lucius, where you're like the daughter or you're the kid of the devil and you're going around killing people like by accidents and stuff. It's like a mini Hitman, but you can't just straight up kill people, so you have to scare them into killing themselves.
I'll scare them into death. Yeah, I like it. Death by goose.
Pretty much. I mean, this article shows a gif of the goose honking at a guy who's hammering at a sign, and he has like a heart attack and falls through a gate and dies. Like that's fantastic.
It is fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. Well, look, it's supposed to be quite fun. Apparently, it's only sort of there must be some sort of story or something. I don't know, but it's not too long. And then I suppose you just go on and do goosey things after that. So, yeah, why not? Why not? That looks good. And then look, I don't know. Look, there was a few other things that were thrown out, but you know, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which I'm sure neither of us will play, so that is fine. And then I believe you missed this. The Humanity. It started it off, and look, I don't know what it is. There were just a lot of people on on the screen, walking up what looked like an elevator that wasn't moving or something. I don't know. Maybe it's a social experiment. Who knows? But it did have a fantastic soundtrack. I defy anyone who watches the first 3 minutes of that not to be dancing in their chair or stand up and dance. I thought it was great. So, who cares? Who cares if it's a game or not? The music was awesome. So that is enough. Was there any other ones you want to throw out there, Mindi, or any other comments on the state of play?
I mean, the Katamari Damacy guy announced a new game, right?
Oh yes. This would be more in your wheelhouse.
I don't know, because this is a lot more like Nobi Nobi Boy than it is Katamari Damacy, and it's called Watam,
I think. Yeah. It doesn't sound like what it looks like. So, or from that thing, it looked a bit too happy for me. I have to say, it was just a bit too happy. Look, that's obviously the point of it, listeners. So I don't know. It will be interesting.
There is quite a lot of like poop emoji characters, though. I did notice that, at least in the trailer.
Yeah, I didn't get a date for that, so I'm not sure when that's coming. Maybe they didn't say, or maybe I was just too happy for me. There was too much going on that I was like, whoa.
Oh, apparently this was announced way back in 2014.
Well, there you go.
Huh. Okay.
Good on them for continuing to make it. And then we had the Arise, a simple story, which looked, I was a little excited. I thought it might have been a Frozen game. To be honest, it looked like a bit of a running sim through the snow, but it's not. It's just a simple story. So, that's a perfect game for me, I think. I did like the look of that one. So we will see. But look, overall, I thought it was quite interesting. It would be remiss of me not to use the word remiss again. October PS Plus lineup. MLB, the show, 19. Do you think you'll...
No, thanks.
No. I'm much the same, but I was impressed that they're giving a bigger game away. I mean, I know Sony owns the studio anyway. It's a sign of positive movement forward. And The Last of Us, which is great because I'm sure there's one person on the planet that hasn't played it yet.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Why not give that away as well? But spruik it up. So look, that's what you can look forward to. I would go through the list at this point, and let you know what the Xbox was offering. But look, they're basically offering every other game, so why bother going through the list? Enjoy your PlayStation Plus.
This
games.
ain't that kind of podcast.
Oh, the Blair Witch. Okay, moving on. So look, we've got some questions that we've been sitting on for a little while. Mindi, and I thought, seeing it's an informal, it's a conversation, it'll be a little bit of a shorter episode this week. I thought it would be time for us to acknowledge them from Mr. Trophy Hunter, with an R there, from Twitter, and his first question is addressed to you, so do with it as you will. It says, Mindi, what motivates you to write guides, and what are you hoping to achieve with your work, if anything, other than personal fulfillment?
I mean, I kind of talked about the first part during my interview. I started writing guides because point and clicks were coming out, and a lot of trophy hunters didn't seem to have that kind of, I guess, twist in their thinking that they could get adventure game logic as quickly as I do. I think I said the classic cliche one is someone looks at a bed and says, well, there's nothing here. And I look at a bed and say, can I take the sheets and make a rope out of it?
Mm.
Or, hey, here's some ivy. I wonder if I can braid it into a rope. And it's not just, climbing ivy. That was in Zeus Quest Remastered, by the way. So, I had been using trophy guides for other kind of games. And so when was it? It was Sherlock Holmes Crime and Punishments came out. I wrote a guide because I got the game early as a review copy. Wish I was still on that list. And I played it and I beat it, and I was just in a position to put it out. So I write it to give back to the community. Sometimes I write them just because someone has bought the game for me. So it's a trade-off. Sometimes I write things because I want to. Sometimes I write things because I played it and there was no information, so let's make it easier for other people. Varied reasons, I would say. What I'm hoping to achieve, I don't know. I really don't know anymore.
World domination?
No, I really don't know. I don't think it's realistic to say, we've talked about Patreons versus Kofis and people paying for video guides over text guides. And I think it's probably unrealistic to say especially just on my own, to bring, written media up to that where people are just as likely to pay for it than visual media. Because that's even outside of the realm of video games, that's a conversation to have.
Mm.
Like I said, I think, again, during my interview, like, people are more likely to pay for fan art of something than fan fiction of something, even though it's just as intense a creative process for the creator.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting off track.
It is an intriguing thing, but
yeah, and it kind of sucks because it feels bad. It does. It feels bad when you put just as much work in and you see like everyone but you, because you're not doing the visual media, you're doing the written media. It's not a fun feeling.
Well, with that in mind, I was going to ask you, just, from this question, do you find like there's such a, I don't know if you notice it, I'm sure you do, I'm sure everybody does, there is such a, there are so many people in this market now, whether they're doing text guides or they're doing video guides or they're doing both, as you say, the text video or whatever. There are a lot of people in this playing field at the moment, and they're doing the same games. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of them, we're seeing like, I don't know, I've never seen a time where you can see 4 or 5 guides of the same game coming out in the same week. Like, do you find that that's sort of, I mean, is that sort of detracting from your desire to do it anymore, or does that not factor in at all?
It not really, because I'm not doing the stuff that is likely to get multiple guides, i.e., I don't write trophy guides for Ratalaika games and sometimes you games. These kind of companies that will send a lot of review codes out. So everyone's doing the video guides and everyone's doing the trophy guides. I'm also sticking more or less to one genre of thing. So sometimes, yeah, there's a lot of overlap. Like if I write, like most of my, what's it called? My Artifacts Mundi stuff. People will do video guides because Artifacts Mundi also sends out a lot of codes. I don't think they do as much as Sometimes You and Ratalaika, but they've sent out a decent amount. So yeah, there will be overlap there. But that's a huge. That's when I see these camps of people who say, I prefer the text guide. Thank you for doing this. Or the camps of people who say, well, I want a video guide, so I use this one. But half the time, this video was made off of your guide. If I go into the forums where I've posted my text guides and I read the comments, these are the things I read fairly consistently. So no, I'm not so worried. It's not so much of a dissuasion that there is some overlap, because there's going to be overlap. I don't do the super specialized stuff, but I do more of a niche thing than AAA or Ratalaika stuff. I even, I'm actually writing a guide for The Longest 5 Minutes, because there really isn't anything out there about this. And it's a JRPG. I mean, it's a kind of a JRPG guide. I haven't done that before. The closest I got was I co-wrote a trophy guide for Danganronpa V3 with my friend and fellow staff member Dan, shout out. And that had a fairly lengthy dungeon crawling bit in it. I think that was the most complicated guide I've probably written, or the council, but this is different for me. So it feels fresh. And it's taking longer because of it, because I'm not, you write, especially for Artifacts Mundi, there's just a template I can use basically, because it's all variations on the same theme. The trophy lists are. This is quite different, taking me a little bit more time, but I think I can get it done tonight and posted.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have new challenges and freshen up. See, I wonder, I don't know how you feel about this. Again, listeners, I can only speak from my perspective, but, look, I do play a lot of these shorter games, and, a lot of the time I don't use a guide because I don't care, but sometimes I do, or whatever else. I mean, to be honest with you, some of these shorter games don't need guides anyway. They play themselves, in effect. But I find that with text guides, I will go to a particular person. Like, for Art Mondays, I would use you. It would be my top preference for guide writer. I use people like Velvet as well. I very much enjoy her guide writing. I use, for text guides, I use Egan Space. And, I mean, she's a fantastic, not a prolific writer of guides, but a fantastic guide writer. And perhaps, I mean, she's written, I think she co-wrote the Ni no Kuni 2 guide, and just packed with information. So I do like the way some people present their work. With video guides, though, I tend to just use whoever. I change flippantly. I don't necessarily use one person all the time. Do you like, I mean, in your own playing, I don't know how much video guide stuff you use, but do you find that maybe there is, I know we're not seeing it translate financially, unfortunately, but that for video, it's just a bit of a, like, whoever at the time? Or do you have your preferred?
I mean, I do have preferred creators for one reason or another. That does not mean that if, the person I prefer the least is the only person who puts out a guide, I wouldn't use it. But I do, I have certain things I like in video guides. Like I think who was it I talked to about? Was it Maka? Like I know you said you like a playthrough guide where they're telling you everything to do so you don't have to look at the video.
Yes, yeah.
I'm the opposite. I don't want to if it's not specifically needed, I prefer that the commentary only comes in when something is specifically needed. Like, hey, here's the part, like here's the next missable trophy. It starts here and this is what you need to do. And then I'm taking you back to the main path now, and then just keep playing and I'll come back later when there's something missable. Like, I prefer that. And I think part of the reason for that is that generally if I have to use or if I am using a video just to help me get through a game, I'm probably doing other stuff while I'm playing the game. So I probably have like another YouTube video open and I'm watching something else.
Yes.
Like like an internet show, or I've got Netflix open, or something else. So I'm kind of splitting attention 3 ways. So obviously if I'm doing that, I don't want 2 hours of someone talking, because then it's just noise.
Yeah, no, look, I see. It's funny you bringing that up, because I tend to judge the video guide that I will use by the time length. So the shorter the overall time, that's the one that I'll pick. So obviously that, I mean, they're all usually within, a rough realm. But I noticed that recently, in fact, this last week, and there's no need to bring up the name of the game or the people, but there were some discrepancies. Like some people were putting out guides that were 3 minutes long, and other people closer to an hour. And again, it obviously depends on the game hugely, but for that game, for me personally, I thought the 3 minutes was all that I needed. And I sort of, I think, I mean, it's taking what you said. Is I'm wondering if I'm getting to the point now, because we've both played a ton of games, so we get a feel for how most of this stuff works, where maybe we don't need everything put in as for certain games, just this shorter. I don't know how you feel about that. This shorter, I mean, it would never work for a text guide, obviously, but just a shorter, like, this is what you do here, and then there's none of the other gameplays here, and then this bit here is missable, and then that. I don't know how you feel about that sort of thing, or is that taking it too far? Would you prefer the whole thing?
I don't know. I don't know if this is what you mean or not, but I'm thinking of Hymno, which came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And I know there were a couple of people who did like a trophy guide video that was 5 or 6 minutes long, and it was just showing some gameplay and explaining how to get each trophy. And then there were some that was like, they called it a full trophy guide, and it was like, it was either a really lucky run or it was like a bunch of runs spliced together to make it look like a single run. And those would be like an hour and a half, something like that. But Hymno, you have to remember, is a randomized game. So that 5 or 6 minute video makes a lot more sense than something that's calling itself a full playthrough, if that's not what you're going to get if you were to sit down and do this yourself.
Yeah. I suppose for those sort of games, I definitely believe that shorter is better. I suppose what I'm sort of digging at here is a game called, and we didn't talk about it today, listeners, because I've only just started. It's called The Sojourn. It's a walking sim puzzler, and look, from what I've played so far, an hour or so, I really like it. I think it's fantastic. So we will talk about it in the future. But the reason I bring it up is it's only a new game on PlayStation. I'm not sure if it's been elsewhere on PC before, but there is no guide at the moment, no video guides. But someone has, I think, done a. I'm not sure if they've done it on PlayStation. It's not someone's name that I recognize. They'd actually done 2 video guides. They'd done a full playthrough guide, which is about 4 hours. And then they'd done a guide of just the puzzles. So that was about, I think, maybe less than 2 hours. And I thought that was a really, so in effect, that's what it doesn't have to be a short game. They'd taken out all the walking and all the other stuff, and literally you could just jump to the certain puzzles if you were stuck. Does that make sense?
That does, because now I'm thinking about when I played the first 3, and this is more of a naming thing.
Hmm.
And it was called like all achievements walkthrough. But it's really not. What it was a collectibles walkthrough. And it was, and if you listen to the guy's commentary, there's like two things. He was like, because this one game had just come out, I guess, on like PC or something. He was like, well, I haven't found these two achievements, but when I do, I'll make a separate video. So I'm like, I'm like, well, there's no chapter select, and there's no, if I didn't know, if I wasn't keeping track, I'd have to replay like 2 hours of this game because you missed it. But your whole thing says it's complete, and it's not. And this should be acknowledged.
That's right. That is a risk you take when you use somebody's content. I suppose you haven't used in the past, or you don't know, but that could, especially in a longer one.
This is when you want to read the descriptions, and probably the rule is never read the comments. But yeah, you might want to go read at least some of the top rated comments. Just skim and make sure people aren't saying, "Hey, this didn't work. Hey, you missed something," something like that. So you're not investing this time to find out later that something is missing.
Yeah. And look, listeners, I fully understand that this sounds very entitled, maybe potentially whiny, but, as consumers, and you are consumers of this content as well, I think you probably at least can see my position and Mindy's as well, that time is the issue, I think, isn't it? So, if you've decided to go down this path, you're trying to find the path of least resistance, the quickest time, I suppose. So I don't know.
I also think it's especially important if this is your livelihood.
Yes.
If this is the thing you are making, if this is not a hobby, if this is something you are making money off of, if this is something you have monetized, if this is something that you have a Patreon link to, I would think you would want to make sure that you're only putting forward your best efforts.
Yeah. I don't think that people are putting out bad content. Although, having said that, I'm sure there's somebody is somewhere. There always is. But I'm not saying that at all. I just think that it's interesting that there is a bit of experimentation now in the links, and I think it's exciting to see that there are. I think for a time, and I know this still goes on. The games are the same. Like I don't know how the walkthroughs are exactly the same. The video they're within a minute of each other, and that's just the nature of the game. It's got to be like that. But maybe looking at different ways now, like maybe have that video, but then have a 2-minute overview video of what the game is, or what to watch out for. And just these, I think this is exciting, this experimentation, because everybody wants different things, I suppose. So it's good to see, from my perspective, that there is choice. It is very entitled of us, though, isn't it, to say that? But,
And I don't mean to sound entitled. I do think competition is a good thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole basis of the free and open market. But at the same time, it does get a little frustrating when all the people are doing the same games and there isn't a ton of branching out. That's frustrating.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's probably frustrating for them as well. But like as you say, they're trying to make a living or whatever. So you have to respect that as it goes along. So look, I don't know, Mr. Trophy Hunter, we perhaps deviated slightly from your question there, but look, I think it was interesting. So now the next question is specifically for me, Mindy, but I think we can just open it up a little bit, because the essence of the question is time, really, again. And the question, again, from Mr. Trophy Hunter is, CJ, have you considered playing less games and completing them rather than playing many and stopping short? Why or why not? So, I mean, we've had this complete...
CJ, have you considered being more like me?
Do you think that's what he's implying?
No, me, like your co-host.
Oh, you. Well, I think he's also a completionist. A very good, very high, possibly 100% or close.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's two ways to ask this. I think what he means is, have you considered finishing the games that you buy, or not 100% completing with platinum, but actually finishing the stories of the games that you buy? Or, I mean, because I don't think you'll ever be a completionist. But there is a good point here. You buy a lot of stuff, and that's great because it gives us a variety of stuff to talk about. But at the same time, it's very, very rare that you're like, I finished the story of this game. Whether I got 100% trophies or not, you don't often say, and I finished it.
That's correct, yeah. Look, I don't know, coming from, I don't see that as a negative, though. I mean, it's obviously a personal choice. I think, if anything, I see that as a positive. If I choose to finish something, then it must have really had merit for me. And of course, I'm not talking here of the 5-minute games or whatever, but the more substantial games or whatever. There must have been a reason that I was really drawn to it. I think so. I don't know that it's. I can understand your position, Mr. Trophy Hunter, and my hesitation, because look, at the end of the day, people could do whatever they want. I definitely do, and I think, to be honest with you, I do think I chase the experiences a bit. I think that I'm interested to see different things, or I think maybe I'm looking for different things. One of the things, having played, like, I doubt there are too many people that have played as many different games as I have in the last few years. I think there are many more people that have finished more games than I have. But I think just the core volume of just playing different things for an hour, 10 minutes, 5 hours, whatever, I don't know that there's a lot. And again, I'm not justifying my position, but I think when you do play a lot of games, and I know games develop, but not all games do, that you start to get a real feel for mechanics you like, and also the things that you don't want to put up with. And I think that I've said before that I don't really use reviews, so I'll buy a game without necessarily going into it too deeply. And then maybe I feel after half an hour that I don't like that system, and I know I'm not going to like it because I've seen it before and have had it before, and so I move on, or vice versa. Does that make sense, Mindi?
No, it makes sense. It's just interesting because sometimes it seems like a time thing for you. But then I look at your list and I notice that you have almost platinum Man of Medan, and that's like a 4 playthrough platinum.
Yeah, but see, again, that's a. We'll talk about that game in the future, but that is a game that I would have only played through once, and then we did the shared story, and so that pushed me back into it, and it showed me a lot of other things. So I'm very conscious that by not investing more time into these games, that I do maybe miss the hook that would have brought me back. So Man of Medan, obviously, the person I played with, they showed me a whole lot of stuff that I didn't know about. And I suddenly went, well, this is really good. And so I did invest more time. Admittedly, though, the 2 trophies I don't have are 2 full playthroughs. So that'll be a bit of time there. So a lot of the trophies I got through cleanup were probably the shorter time.
Well, and here's an interesting one too, is that you played and platinumed Pantsu Hunter.
Yes.
And then immediately you put the other stack on your system and you only got half of the trophies.
Yes. So listeners,
like, why?
Well, listeners, one of the great things about getting old is that the brain gets addled with age. So when I follow a guide like that, if I think I can remember what I'm doing, I like to try and I think I'm going to do it again. I like to try and do it almost straight away, but then I only have so much time. So I do basically as much as I can remember quickly. And that game sort of lends itself to that. I think I actually played through the whole game, but didn't do all the endings the second time. And then I thought, well, I'm going to need the guide anyway to go back and clean up the endings. So I did what I could from my memory and then moved on. So I think that was a bit of the situation in that game. A question of when I will go back to it, I suppose, is a time question. But yeah, that tends to be why I do that. But I mean, that's for trophies or whatever else, I suppose, too. But look, on the other angle, Mr. Trophy Hunter, I did have a few weeks ago, and I know people say this is like the problem is when you keep acquiring games, is you just keep getting further and further behind. And I don't care about the backlog, obviously, but I think what I've noticed in the last few weeks, because this year in particular, I may have gone slightly ham, thank you, Sony, on the store, that there are games now that I haven't played yet, like Metro Exodus in particular, Kingdom Hearts 3, maybe, and a few others that I've got sitting there, Evil Within 2, that's been there forever, that I think I would like to play. And I think by playing all these, we talked about this the other week, spending 10 minutes here or an hour there in these other games, which are all great, I'm pushing those further away. So I don't know, but look, it doesn't bother me. I don't think. I don't know.
You know what I actually wonder? I'm going down your list. I'm seeing a lot of like Fs on here for just games that you've loaded the list.
Oh, the letter F.
I honestly wonder if you went through and you deleted every trophy list that you've loaded onto your profile but haven't earned a trophy on, how many unearned trophies, because you have almost 30,000 unearned trophies, how many unearned trophies would be knocked off of that number if you actually went through and deleted all of the 0%?
Well, I think that one of the stats on that particular site shows how many games. Is it F, or F is not even started, isn't it? Is that the lowest it goes? Yeah. And it shows how many of those games you have. And I think it's like 500 or something. I keep fantasizing at one point I'll just take a year off and I'll just play 2 games a day. just not complete them, but just to try them and see. So I don't know. It's definitely, and most of those would be PS4, I think. But look, I don't know. I tend to, not to go on, I suppose, listeners, but I tend to draw the line. At one point, I had a massive PS4 physical collection, and I decided that at no point now can I have more than 200 PS4 physical games, which is insane, perhaps anyway, but just for space. But then the digital took off. So look, I don't know, but yeah, look, I have considered it, but I think I still do. I still do finish stuff I like. I mean, I will finish Final Fantasy 14. I mean, if I'd have never started that game, it's possible I would have 100% account. The amount of time that game was sucked up, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think I also, to throw back, not to drag on here, Trophy Hunter, I think I mentioned a while ago that what really interests me in completionists that complete these longer games is whether they'll talk about the game or how they talk about it. Because like Days Gone is a perfect example. I don't think this game interests you particularly, Mindi, but it sort of interests me. But it's a massive time commitment. I think like 60 hours plus. And I'm just not. I think for that game, I would rather just have a conversation with someone who's 100%ed it for an hour and they can just tell me all about it. And that would be enough. Do you ever feel that, Mindi? Or do you that sounds insane to you, perhaps?
That falls into the realm of I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like I really like survival horror games, but I'm really bad at them. So like I have a friend who's really good at them, so I'll watch him play them, and like that's enough for me.
Yeah.
I get the experience without the frustration of that I feel when I'm playing like a survival horror game and failing at it. So I think that's kind of, the method is different, but I think the result for you and me is the same here.
Yeah, it's the same. See, I mean, that's a whole separate issue. That would be an interesting topic. But one of the things that frustrates me the most is when you fail a particular thing and you have to do it again and again and again. That waste of time. And I know that's what a lot of gamers enjoy, the getting better and stuff. But for me, I find that very grating, having to do a section again. So I think by talking to someone, I don't have to do that because they've done all that. They can just tell me the good parts or the parts that matter. So yeah, I don't know. But look, it is what it is. It is what it is. So I don't see anything changing soon. I don't know. We'll keep you posted, listeners. See what happens. So look, Mindi, shall we go across to some spam of the week for this week?
Sure, and I think this is going to be mostly you because all the spam this week, right?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of this is on the new releases this week, so it is out. It will definitely be out by the time of listening, listeners. But we have Inferno 2, which is, it's a cute little like side-scrolling shooter, I suppose. It comes in at about an hour. It's very straightforward. Perhaps the only thing to watch out, which I forgot twice, on both stacks, which was impressive, is not to upgrade all the missile or all the weapons straight away. So just you need to upgrade all 4 of them once for a trophy and then upgrade one of them, or the missile and the gun completely. I didn't do that. I upgraded the gun both times completely for some reason, and then that would lock you out of the trophy, I suppose. So I suppose, unless there's something I'm missing there, I suppose that is potentially missable. And if you do it that way, where you upgrade everything once and then the others, it'll save the grind at the end of the game. But look, it's quite fun. What else have we got? Oh, I think the only other one that I'd played was this Dreaming Canvas. So this is, I mean, it's a walking sim, Mindi. It's not a particularly good one, though. I'm trying to think. There was a game like this. It may have been a VR game, Where Art Conceals. Did you ever play that, Mindi? I think it is.
No, I'm familiar with it though. That is a VR only game.
Yeah, so they're sort of educational experiences more than games. There's a very little gameplay in that game. What was amazing about that game was you could actually go inside the painting and you can't control it. You sort of do a flyover, but you can look around in VR. It's very cool. I would recommend that. I think it was Where Art Conceals or whatever. And I believe at the time it was only available on the Hong Kong store. So I'm not sure if that's come elsewhere since then. But look, it's a fun hour experience. But this is this is probably about a 10-minute experience if you just, well, look, 7 minutes. There you go. That doesn't surprise me. And you literally just go from, you just walk around, I think it's 5 different settings or little worlds, and there are easels, painting easels with a guy standing or a lady standing beside them, and you can paint the picture, but it's sketched in for you. All you can really do is change the colors with sliders and things. So it's kind of cool. And it gives you a very basic view, I suppose, of some key painting styles or whatever. Although, you know, I don't know like how you could the Rococo and the Romanticism looked exactly the same to me and realism. So I'm not sure that I'm quite sold on that idea. But look, it's cute or whatever else. It's a couple of dollars. That is definitely spam. And
is NextGen Sandbox spam?
Yeah, so I think particularly when someone does a video for it, it can probably be done in 30 minutes if you know what you're doing. It's kind of fun just working it out yourself. The descriptors in the trophy list, they're pretty good, the descriptions. And as I said, I think there's one finding a girl on the bus is a little bit confusing. In that game, you just have to spawn in a bus and look behind you. And then one to get the sheep on the merry-go-round is a little confusing because if you put the sheep on the merry-go-round, you don't get the trophy. But if you put the sheep beside it and then fence them in so they have to get on it, then you do get the trophy. So just they're the only two that are confusing. That game does have very late trophy pops, as does the Dreaming Canvas. So don't panic. In fact, a couple of those trophies took over a minute, I think, to get. So yeah, look, I don't know. And then I saw just while we were waiting, because we had a little technical issues to start with, I saw there is a game called Color Slayer, I believe, which is like it's like a bit of a music rhythm slashing game or something on a fretboard. Apparently very easy, a couple of hours, and also only $1.99, and it's a cross-buy. So how could you go wrong for 2 plats for $1.99, I suppose?
Did you mention this week's rat game, which was Scheming Through the Zombie Apocalypse? Which is apparently actually kind of difficult. As it not horrendously difficult, but like not an hour.
No. I don't know. Is this? Well, this would obviously be an older game, I imagine, that's come across. Are you familiar with it at all, or not?
No, I'm not familiar with it. I just know it's the weekly rat game, and I've heard some people saying that it's actually a little more challenging.
Yeah, it's basically a visual novel, if you like, with scavenging elements. You go to areas in the story, but most of it, I played about 40 minutes or 50 minutes of it, and it's mainly dialogue and text. One of the things that I found striking is it drops the F word repeatedly, which is sort of ironic for us, Mindi, because I played it after the last episode. But it dropped.
Oh yeah, you know what? I meant to mention that at the top of the episode, and I totally forgot. Congratulations on the editing.
Thank you.
So we had, I don't know if it's a Queensland thing or what, but we had kind of a sweary episode last week, and we try not to swear, but sometimes it happens. My original title for last week's episode was 40 plus F-bombs dropped, because I actually kept a count. Yeah. And yes. CJ went through and like, you did a good job because I knew where they were and I didn't hear anything, indicate there'd been a cut made.
Well, now everybody knows.
I think you here's the thing. I think you missed one.
I think I left one in just for a bit of flavor.
Because he said F duh.
Yes, I may have missed it. Yeah.
And but you missed it.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was still very impressive.
Yeah, look, for a hack, I'm getting better.
Well, very impressive bit of editing, and I give you props.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. But the funny thing was, I did play this, and literally the second word out of the character's mouth, is some sort of animal, I forget, a dog or something, is the F word, and it was just unusual for a rat port game. Straight away I was like, oh, I didn't expect that sort of language, but it's not obnoxious. It fits in the story. I think in a way this is probably the most adult story, or at least as much as I've played. So yeah, I mean it's different to the games. It is longer. I think it's a couple of hours at least, and I believe there's possibly missable trophies, so you may need a guide for that. It's probably an easy game to play with a guide because so much of it is cutscenes or whatever else. So I don't know, but yeah, look, that is something to try with all 4 stacks of it. So that'll be a time commitment for someone.
And I have one more spam game to throw on.
Please.
And it hits all the boxes here. It's a visual novel.
Ooh.
Probably. It's well, okay. It's not out yet, but everything about this screams visual novel to me. So probably a visual novel. It's on the Vita, which yay. 11 gold trophies and a platinum.
Ooh. What is this?
And it's called A Winter's Daydream.
Oh, yes.
Like I said, everything about this screams visual novel to me. And it screams one of those shorter visual novels. Not like, not like the longer ones. But like, I'm trying to think, what are those really trophy spammy ones because there's only like 2 or 3 choices you can make.
Oh yeah, most of those are 100%. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it feels like that.
Yeah, they're basically like little TV episodes. Well, no, look at that. I wonder if it will have a VN price tag attached to it. We'll have to wait.
Oh, God, I hope not.
Wait and see. And then the only other one is this Habroxia, which, look, I am pretty convinced at this point, hopefully I'm saying it correctly, Habroxia, I'm pretty convinced at this point, Mindi, that we are perhaps the only 2 people in the world that have not played this game, because everybody on my list, friends list thing on PSN seems to have played it already. People are posting things. They're all over the place. So there must have been many codes for this game go out, or I'm not sure what's going on. But look, I hear it's supposed to be quite good, but I have myself not played it. I believe it only comes out today.
I think you're right, actually.
Oh, everybody's played it. Everybody. So we're behind on that. In fact, it's so the codes weird. Are so common that someone actually said to me, "Oh, what do you think of the Habroxia? When did you get your code?" And I'm like, I'm the only person in the world that has not played this game yet. So look, I don't know, but that's the ambivalence of the nature. But we've talked about that before. Obviously, codes would be wasted here for sure. But it's supposed to be fun, I think. And look,
see, don't say that because I actually create stuff.
No. For you, for me, sorry, for me, codes would be no. For you, not at all. But look. I think listeners, what we need. I don't want to ask this, but look, I'm going to. I think a lot of this code business is tied up in YouTube, which is detestable at the best of times. But all you need to do, I believe, is click our subscribe button. Now, look, I've done it. I don't even listen to the show on YouTube, as I'm sure many of you do not from looking at the numbers. But I believe if that number were to get close to 100, there is a secret club we can possibly join, Mindi, that would give you codes to these Habroxia-style games if that does interest you. So maybe we can work on that. There are no promotions. There are no prizes, listeners. It just requires you to click a button if you so wish to help Mindi in her quest to get codes from the secret club of Habroxia. Yeah, I don't know, but we'll look into that, Mindi, for you at some point if you like. So is there anything else for today?
I think that's it for today. I gotta play something else. We have something to talk about in 2 days.
Yeah, we've got to back up. I think I need to sleep now. I'm exhausted. Yeah, I sorry, listeners. It's 3 p.m. here. It's getting, I'm old. It's getting time for the nap with the blanket. But look at it. It is what it is. So thank you as always, Mindi, for joining me. Where can we find you if we're
Twitter at themindisacity, PlayStationTrophies.org. I am also there as The Mind is a City. I know we talked about supporting content creators. If you want to support my work, you can go to Kofi, ko-fi.com/themindisacity. I know there are a couple of listeners who have already donated to that. I thank you very much. I have already reached out to these people and thanked them privately, but I'm also thanking you so all of our listeners can hear as well. So thank you.
Good. And the show is available on all good podcast providers. As I said, look, if you've got a spare minute or whatever and you'd like to see what damage we could do in a secret club, then do click the subscribe button on YouTube. I won't hold you accountable to actually watch it there, but, by all means, give it a click. We shall see what happens, listeners. I'm intrigued to see what will happen at the magic number 100. Perhaps nothing. we shall see. We are available on Twitter at push2pat, the number 2pat, or you can email us at push2pat@gmail.com. So with that in mind, have a fantastic week. There is so many good games to play. How can you possibly not? Enjoy the platinums, gold, silver, bronze, or whatever you get along the way. Thanks, Mindi.
Thank you. Bye.